So let's start. Yeah, attendees growing. So let's keep 30 seconds for that. That everyone is coming. Yes, it's going. So I will start. I'm Emmanuel Lowe. I'm working with Infopulse for digitalization. And today we will have another webinar on our long series of explaining, sharing our experience with the digital world and how we make digital more digital our client or accompany them in their digital path. So today we will talk about digital workplace with our talented speaker that they will introduce themselves. So here we are. So today we have Natalia Nikonenko, Georgian. So it will be very international. I'm myself French. So Natalia Nikonenko, Georgian, Olaf Klein, German, Jan Kiel, German. And all that through an Ukrainian company named Infopulse that you may know. I will go further that, but I let introduce each of the speakers. So Natalia from Microsoft, you have the floor.
Thank you, Emmanuel, and welcome to the audience today. I'm the Customer Success Manager with Microsoft, and I'm working on modern workplace tools encompassed in the Microsoft technology stack. So today's discussion is very, let's say, close to my heart because that's the essence of what I actually do. I'm working with large customers in Ukraine and other countries in the Central and Eastern Europe. So gladly we'll be speaking today with the panel, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Olaf?
Yes, hello, my name is Olaf Klein. I'm Digital Adaption Architect here at Infopulse. In more than 30 years of practice work, I've specialized in the digital support and management of information, communication, and services in companies in order to drive digital transformation. And today I design holistically integrated cloud and hybrid platforms with the aim of creating digital end-to-end processes between employees and customers, and which are subject to legal and international data protection and the concepts of digital workplace. Thank you.
Impressive already. Jan.
Yeah, I mean, you already gave the introduction, right? Being German and since 20 years living in Ukraine, maybe I also adopted a little bit. At least I found my second home there. Yeah, as a German, I started my career back then in 2000 within the automotive industry, of course, and was responsible for developing and implementing the first digital products into the work environment of Daimler-Benz and BMW. Since 2015, I'm now thankful working for Infopulse, starting as the VP Vice President for Marketing, building up together a team of excellent marketeers. And in 2021, last year, I took on the responsibility as a head of innovation, implementing innovative approaches at Infopulse, searching with colleagues for new sustainable and disruptive solutions for the benefits of our customers and the society.
So thank you for your introduction. I will just highlight some figures and about Infopulse. So we are a young lady of 30 years old, 2,300 more now specialists in our company, a part of a bigger group of 24,000 people. So Tieto Evry, we are year after year after year ranked in the top 100 worldwide outsource and service company, and we have the privilege to host several centers of excellence and called partner for Microsoft, SAP, and others. So let's go further about the agenda of today. So we will share. There will be poll, by the way. As you can see, we are a little bit upside down. I think we don't have the same sequence of slide, but that's all good. So today we will talk about digital workplace, DWP in short. What does it mean? What are our experience with that personal? And at which level you can consider working on the digital workplace, if it's another tool, if it's more strategic, if it's something that is worth it for you to consider and implement. And we will have all the answers by our panelists. We will share, show, and try to answer also your question. Don't hesitate to write your question on the chat. You will have also question to answer with our poll, so feel free to jump on it. We are here to give you the most we can. So participate. It's also your webinar. Let's go. Digitalization, and particularly the workplace, why hybrid, the COVID, now it's a 2 years story, a little bit more. And the companies needed to find out new ways to work between a remote, in-house work, and the big boom of many tools coming to help employees to do their job. But it changed dramatically, and we will share with you in which at which level it has impacted our life, professional and personal, and what we do with that. So maybe some personal sharing. Natalia, you want to start?
I can. Well, basically, I think today's session in itself is slightly a contribution to what we are just starting to speak about. We're all in different places, but yet we're still in this one digital place where we're conversing and sharing our thoughts. In parallel with all the military action taking place in Ukraine, I'm still able to work. I am from Georgia, but now I'm based in Ukraine. So that's a second example. But let's say the bigger example I can bring is I have had the experience of working with geographically distributed team before COVID started. So for me, that was a normal way of working with at least part of my team. But with COVID, obviously, that took things to a completely different extent. And that was, for my family, that was the big life-changing period, because we had our first baby. And I wanted to return to work quite soon after that. So actually working remotely was a kind of a positive thing for me, because as a new mom, I didn't have to sacrifice my career at the same time, and I could do both. I could work and I could tend to my child at the same time. So I think there are plenty of examples of how we can benefit from current, let's say, tools and the flexibility that they give us.
So very good example of your impact in a broad way, but also not only because of the COVID, but the habit you have to work for so many years. Jan, Olaf, something to share?
Yeah, I mean,
Jan first.
We had a similar situation, not me, but my wife was giving birth, and vice versa, actually, right? It was our third child. The first two, I was not so much seeing because I was working in the office. And then 16th of March 2020, we went into work from home mode, right? Everyone still remembers. It's actually two months ago, right? 2 years ago now. And we first thought that will never work, right? Before we have been all together in one big office, and we could use the "Hey Joe" principle, opening the door and screaming or shouting or interacting directly personally. And now we are sitting at home. Yeah? And there turned up questions: how we can coordinate our work, how do we communicate the right way, or whether internally or with our customers. Where and how do we exchange or save work-related stuff and deliverables? How do we keep the focus up and the quality high? So you see questions that we weren't facing before. No matter being in a big IT company and helping our clients on their way of digital transformation, we quickly understood that you cannot solve the problems from tomorrow or from today with the tools and processes that you were using yesterday. And so now, 2 years forwarded, 2022, we are here. We at Infopulse mastered the challenges, and now we can provide solutions for our customers facing the same issues.
Yeah, talking about Infopulse in particular, as you know now, we are a Ukrainian-based company, and we needed to move almost all our people from a war zone to a more safer zone, either in the west part of Ukraine or even abroad, and particularly in Poland. So we faced ourselves already after the COVID. To be able to cope with this huge challenge. And as far our clients are telling us is that they didn't see much a change in our delivery. So we can really talk about it because we were going through that. I'm still going through that because the war is not yet finished. Olaf?
Yes, and I like to share a different perspective besides of COVID and family stuff and so on. And these are the expectations of the youth, of the next generation. As a member of the World Economic Forum and of the EU Tech Chamber, we discuss this. What are the future-proof investments in digital workplaces? What are the expectations of the next generations and how they will work in future besides or after post-COVID and post-war times and so on. And this is exactly what we have in mind when we really provide future-proof investments. We need to attract the next generations to work more mobile, more location independent and so on, and this is exactly why it's neat a big picture view in the concepts of digital workplace, and it's a big part of the digital transformation process.
Yeah, totally right. The new generation wants that different point of access, yeah. A different tool to access it. And even in the sales process, we were all, our generation, saying, yeah, you need to meet the client, you need to shake the hand, you need to create this relationship, the face-to-face relationship, going to events and so on. And that totally changed. And due to the tools we have now, it accelerates, facilitates, and the job is still going good with that. So we needed to rethink our paradigm, and the tool were helping a lot. Okay, so I think we have our first poll, yes. To what extent can you relate to the remote work shift that has taken place after COVID-19? So the audience, please answer this question. You have several choices from significantly, sorry for my French, I cannot relate, and you have 5 choices. So we will leave you several seconds for that, 10 seconds for this quick poll. So, okay, so the poll is done. What is significantly? exactly what we were all talking already, sharing our experience. Great. So after this poll, we were talking about our experience, but what does it mean, this digital workplace? How it is done? What are the tools? How you work with it? So I think it's worth to define it, that we are all on the same page in terms of the topic itself, and then how we go from this digitalization to the next step in innovation, the famous metaverse world. So, okay, what it is. So we are jumping on this definition.
Yeah, maybe let me give some insights about digital workplace, which is actually a modern approach for hybrid work that enables employees to collaborate and connect with their peers from any place and any device. Right? Hybrid work is definitely the future, even though sometimes it might be difficult. A growing number of companies think the solution is the metaverse for work. But honestly, the metaverse is not what Mark Zuckerberg is saying. It's not a place for alternate reality we will all migrate into. For sure, it's not a game. Digital workplace is helping to by liberating the workforce from a fixed office desktop. Digital workplace allows you to build workflow based on their work demands and not vice versa. The digital workplace, as I said, is a holistic approach, a strategy to transform the way we work, develop workforce digital skills, and also implement an engaging and easy to use work environment. The vector being business value focused rather than technology as it was before, supporting high performance and of course return of investment and the business outcomes. And the transition to remote is going to be the most important economic transition since the industrial revolution. When we have a look to what does the digital workplace includes, it means breaking down the silo, because it starts with covering all the different aspects, whether it is the business processes, including collaboration, communication, and the knowledge sharing. It includes all the apps and the devices that you need to use, whether provided from the company or bring your own devices. And most important, it's all about user experience, because the user in the end is deciding what tools he is using and how effectively he can later on work. Why it is a strategic decision? Because whether you want to look at it top down or bottom up, all of our people have to be involved, all the stakeholders, whether it's the C-suite that needs to kick off the strategy and pay the bills in the end for this implementation. As I said before, whether it's the employer, the employee who needs to accept these new tools and these new way of working. And last but not least, of course, it also includes our dear customers.
Mm-hmm.
When we look to the benefits, we wrote there, making work more of something, more of what, right? It definitely enhances collaboration. It has to have security-rich environment aspects implemented, built in, out of the box. It will amplify the employer engagement between each other, but also in regards to our customers. It is intuitive and supports this omni-channel, this multiple user experience, provides transparency when it comes to productivity, gives you a structured workflow, task lists, storages, all these kinds. And last but not least, as mentioned, it unifies our communication, whether offline or online.
So you just defined, in fact, the process of digitalization. But this time we are talking about the digital workplace due to the remote work, mainly on the hybrid way to work, right?
Yeah, fully correct.
Mm-hmm. So then communication, collaboration, and at the strategic level. Natalia?
Yes. No, I'd like to probably continue on what Jan's been saying about all of the aspects and how they constitute this, I would say, multi-angle perspective of digital workplace. Our chairman and CEO, Satya Nadella, has recently said that hybrid work represents the biggest shift in how we used to work. And I think that we can basically relate to this 100%. Actually, our poll today suggests this as well. And just because this is such a tremendous shift, it will require a new operational model and the organizations to actually adapt to it. So in our vision on the Microsoft side, this model will encompass people, spaces, and processes. And it will require a great, let's say, investment of flexibility to define this. Because what we need to continue doing compared to what we were doing in the physical space when we were working together is to have the ability to connect naturally, to collaborate with our teams and our vendors, counterparts, partners, and so on and so forth, and remain in the context. For example, I'm taking my computer because it's cloud-based, and wherever I am, I have the tools, access, capability to perform my work remotely, regardless of my location. And that's exactly what the digital workplace stands for. And I actually love this video that's being played right now because it touches on capabilities of digital workplace, not only for office workers, but it also shows how frontline workers can be part of this whole digital workplace story, because they used to come to the physical spaces. Some of them still do because they're critical staff on boots on the ground, but some can also continue their work through remote connection. And for us in Microsoft, we've invested a huge amount of effort and design and thinking and technology into making Microsoft Teams our cornerstone tool for continuous and smooth collaboration. And, you know, just to support all of those actions that we used to take, whether we're presenting on the whiteboard together with the team, brainstorming things, or we're sharing the reactions and laughing at, or, you know, thumbs upping at some event that's taking place, it doesn't really matter. All of those things have to come into this world of a digital environment that we are right now transitioning into. And as I mentioned, Teams has become this one-stop shop and hub for teamwork in our case on Microsoft side. Of course, when we're talking about functionality, what we are talking first about meetings, chatting, and calling, all of those actions that are, let's say, more or less understandable and easily understandable by the audience when we're talking about any sorts of messengers, whether those are conventional or corporate ones. But we made a giant leap, I would say, to transform the notion of this collaboration tool, not only to the calling and communications piece, but also collaboration and platform vision. So not only Microsoft let's say, home-built applications are available as add-ons to Microsoft Teams. So you can embed your internal business processes or some other applications that you're using, including third-party, into your work in Microsoft Teams. And that's the way to go. We firmly believe in that because the world is not encompassed by Microsoft World only. And we have a huge number of examples of our customers using some other tools. But if we need our employees to collaborate seamlessly, then we need one platform that will unite all of those efforts. And here Teams comes into play, and it allows to create this, safe, sound, and comfortable for the employee environment in which they continuously work and basically become that single window that they share. So if we, jump over the details, we can say that connecting naturally, collaborating with the team, and working in the context, all of that is covered with Teams as a platform that allows you to work in a single window, and it becomes this complete end-to-end solution to the companies.
Without changing much, the tools are already in place in each of the companies. So it's a transverse way. So it reminds me Windows 95, when it came on the market, that was a way to unify a different platform and finishing the proprietary type of hardware we were facing, but that's only for the old guys, you see. Telling that, we have another poll for you, dear attendees. Do you feel that with already what we have went through, even on the upper layer, this digitalization through the working place can enhance and change your work-life balance with the technology? So 3 answers possible: yes, partially, no. So you have 10, 15 seconds for that, please. And don't hesitate to ask your question on the chat. It's there for that. We will be gladly able to answer it. So what is the result? The drums? Yes, of course. So thank you very much. So we have an attendees audience really on the core of what we are talking about. Okay, so after Natalia shortly introducing Teams, that is not just one more messenger, but something much more comprehensive at the level of the strategic level, going transverse on all the services, on all the silos. So single point of entry, that's what Teams is. And a focus on user, the famous UX, user experience, and employees' needs. So who want to answer this question? Who want to give some insight in there? Olaf?
Yes, that's me. Cool. And I like to, as Natalia mentioned before, we have Microsoft Teams as an application hub for us to bring the things together we need to do our daily work. And this means for the company or for the business itself, we need to make sure that we provide future-proof investments in our organizations based on the level that we empower our employees and that they have access to all business relevant content and information and tools they need to do their job. And yeah, as you mentioned before, Emmanuel, it's an employee single point of entry, and it's a single point of entry. We make it much easier for an employee to get the right information he needs at his current task, because it makes no sense that an employee has to search for part of information in 5-6 systems. And this is the idea behind the single point of entry, to combine everything. And for this, we need a holistic integrated architecture of our tool sets we have in the background, so that we are really able to provide a digital workplace, and that we have access to all this kind of information on the same level of security, and so on the same level of the results of the content we get to this. And when we take a look at the next slide, please, then the biggest question is, when the employees has his hub for the day-to-day business, we need to do something to fulfill something like a digital value chain, a digital value creation within a holistic integrated business architecture, not only from the technical perspective, but it's more on the management of information, communication, and services. Because, as I told before, it makes no sense to take a look on the data level between different systems. So it's not only a mapping of menu items in Teams. It's more than, yeah, to get access to my big data pool that I'm able to build within a holistic integrator architecture. And from that point, we are able really to provide a digital value and to fulfill such a digital value chain for the business. And this is exactly the task of today when we talk about digital transformation.
Wow. What's that? So complicated. Tell us about that, but we don't have 2 or 3 hours.
No, it's absolutely not complicated, but it's visualize a little bit how to manage information, communication, and services between the several things we have in our business. So on the left side, we have the employees, and the employees, they have the devices, and the devices are configured with digital workplaces on several levels. And then we need an application platform where we really empowers digital business, and we also have an enterprise resource management system that we have on board here. But we also have to develop digital services. We have to provide them, and we have to manage information, communication, and service between the customer on the right side and between the employees on the left side. And for sure, yes, we also have machine-to-machine IoT communications as well. But it makes sense to take a little bit, or it makes sense to take a look at this example as a reference architecture. A reference architecture, what's really needed in digital business. This is the idea behind, and this is why we have so many items on.
So that's the point of the strategic level of deciding to implement, and it's not even deciding, because in 5 years, if you don't do that, the competition will be hard for you. So that's the strategic level where all the silos, but also all the interaction are going through this digital workplace. Okay.
Yes, because we need to empower our employees, and we don't need to empower our employees only by tools. We need them to power with content and with context, as Natalia mentioned before. And this happens on the sales level, as an example, to get really quick answers from product management or sales operations or marketing, where we coordinate campaigns and events, customer support also to enable continuous knowledge sharing between different shifts, between different parts in case handling. And we also have this in the human resource perspectives to drive alignment on job description, to streamline and to really work together on a business level and not only on the tool level. And this is the most important thing here.
That's interesting, because that's a link to what Natalia said, because we can have the assumption that it's only concerning services. Internal services, external services, but we see that there is operations, there is engineering also implicated in this digitalization. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, every division in a business needs to collaborate. and they already collaborate on different levels, and with Microsoft Teams and with the environment of a digital workplace and within an holistic integrated architecture, I'm able to manage this, and I can manage the collaboration on all levels in my divisions I have in my business. And when we take a look at the operation and the project management, yes, we can streamline project communications. We can not only share files, we need to share entities, we need to share knowledge. This is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to engineering, there are several approaches when it comes to engineering. It's dual programming and all this stuff. And usually when we take a look at the dual programming stage, there are two developers are sitting next together, and we don't need it because they collaborate really in real time via the environment, and it enables continuous discussions across a distributed team. And from the financial perspective, yeah, we are able to streamline data consolidation and analysis across the divisions, and to get out all the stuff we need to find the right decisions or to make the right decision in our business processes.
So it concerns all type of enterprises. So that's okay. So it's not just the services impacted. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and the benefits of a digital work is it's really that we take into account the endpoints of digitization. It's customer to employees or person to person. These are humans. It's not technology. And we create a platform for really to design.
Just one point, Olaf.
Yeah.
Does it mean that finally we get it through the digitalization, the famous Graal of building the precise relationship, individual precise relationship with the customer? It's what you are talking about?
Yeah, this can be part of the solution of a digital workplace. So we have different approaches on that, and there are several solutions. And this is exactly what I say. We need to manage information, communication, and services, and not only to manage tools, because tools are the vehicle to come from A to B. And we need A to B, and the contents, and we need the street and all the stuff we need in our business, really to enable the development of digital services in an overall context of big data, to bring the things together in a context, not only by linking the tools together. It's more to build the context between the entities and the data levels. This is the most important things. And from that point, we manage information, communication, and services, yes, for sure, but we generate the cost benefits efficiency to restore, our own competitiveness against competitors we have around us. And we, last but not least, we enable the employees to be flexible and mobile in our organization. And this is exactly the expectation of the next generation.
So it's the exact opposite of the impersonalization of the digitalization, but more the personalization of the relationship between people through the digitalization, right?
Yeah, correct.
Wow, sounds good.
It is good when you manage it.
That's the point, where all the level of the company are, of course, engaged in this transformation for the good, for the employees and the customer and all the services.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide. Natalia, we are talking about Teams as the hub connecting all the dots. But it's not only Teams, right?
I would say it's not only connecting all the dots. Olaf was just talking about the aspects of things, and he mentioned the employee flexibility and things like that. But with flexibility also comes a different, let's say, aspect of how do we actually, as employers, let's say, keep our employees interested in continuous work for our company. Now we cannot offer a fancy office. We cannot offer the best coffee in the office or something like that. I mean, things that we could include in the benefits of a physical space. How do we keep these core people working for our company healthy, not overworking, at the same time give them capabilities to learn and leverage knowledge of others? So for this, Microsoft has come up with the, let's say, unified employee experience platform. And in this particular case, it has these pillars that you can see on the slide of well-being and engagement, growth and development, purpose and alignment, culture and communications, and knowledge and expertise. And we united that in a bundle of several products that represent Microsoft Viva. Those are Viva Connections, Viva Insights, Topics, and Learning. So these are the 4 modules that constitute this employee experience platform. Why we're talking about them together with Teams? Because they are all, let's say, built upon the platform of Teams. So again, you don't have to go to your external LMS system to continue your learning process. Or in case you want to search for information about some projects or departments or people in your organization, you can leverage Viva Topics right inside of Teams. Viva Insights gives you the capability to learn about your personal and, let's say, private ways of working. And privacy is a very big chunk of the idea behind this, because every single person works in a different manner, and we have to, let's say, give them the safe space so that they can analyze their own work by themselves. This tool also has the manager view, but depersonalized, and basically this is a completely different level of analytics in how productive the team is and how their well-being is on the aggregated level. And Viva Connections is a completely new way of bringing culture and communications, again, based on Microsoft Teams, embedding a very interactive and aggregated intranet portal that brings all the news, discussions, important updates, I don't know, events, calendars, and so on and so forth into the context of intranet being accessible through the tools that people are working in, I don't know, hour in, hour out, every single day. So, I mean, just uniting this into one single platform saves us time, I believe. I personally use these components because we have them turned on internally. I use them very extensively, and they are helping me as the employee. So now my experience, regardless of where I am, again, is different because of the digital tools that I have in place. And that's a completely new story.
But concerning the data, the personal data, the professional data, it can float, no? Or it's really well separated, the security of the data for the company, of course, that there is no leaking, but also that the permeability between the personal data, because we use the same computer for our personal search, for vacation, kind of, or other stuff, and also having productive tools that are dedicated for the work for the company. Oh, that you kind of define that this edge between personal life and professional life is managed at the personal level, but not going to the management level, or only on the aggregated side. I'm correct for the understanding?
Yes, so firstly, Teams and Microsoft 365 Cloud modern workplace tools, they are what we call the corporate collaboration and communication methods. So you need to have a license assigned, all the security accesses assigned. You will not be able to get into you know, any piece of information that doesn't belong to your eye. And there's a mechanism for that that underlies in the Microsoft 365 tools overall. When we're talking about analysis of our work, again, Viva Insights, as the example here, will work in two parallel streams. The individual view that I'm getting about my personal work is my private data. It is, let's say, what I see, and it will differ for every single employee because we have different collaborators, different calendars, different emails, and so on and so forth. And then the depersonalized, the aggregated statistical view for the manager so that they can assess the productivity and analyze the productivity, efficiency, and well-being of the team. So these are completely two different things. And to add more about the privacy, overall, the Microsoft 365 is GDPR compliant. So that's extremely important. We take privacy to a completely different level, and we are compliant with all the respective certifications received. So I think in a global sense, it takes away a lot of stress and a lot of fear from the companies from the cybersecurity perspective when they're embedding a bundle of products coming from a certified vendor rather than bits and pieces of different IT solutions. Some certified, some not, making them all work together in a smooth way and paying for all of them. I think that's a completely different story than what we have here represented in one single, let's say, product bundle. And when we are talking about Viva again, I'd like to talk about the flexibility here, because you can see on the screen just how many other content providers, learning content providers, communication tools, and so on and so forth, you can embed in Viva. So again, Microsoft's flexibility doesn't stop only on Teams being able to introduce third-party solutions, but also is extended to Viva as well. So if you have a Workday or SAP or a Cornerstone as your learning management system, you can definitely use that in Viva Learning, for example. And that becomes a whole new story to the employees. When I can, as the employee, and this is a real example, go to my Teams and open Viva Learning and see the aggregated list of all the trainings that I have to undergo, instead of going to 5, 6 different portals that we used to have as pieces of LMS. Believe me, for me, that's a different level of working and learning, because I don't have to spend 1 hour searching for the right portal where that yet another model that I had to finish in some particular deadline. So I think this is the future, and it's happening already right now. And I'm really hopeful that people will, let's say, positively understand how this can work for them and what benefits they can take out of this this digitalization and further unification of the tools for them.
Breaking down the silos, right?
With security.
Exactly. Even in the business process perspective.
So we have our third question to ask our audience, our attendees. How do you address the challenges of working in the new normal? And this new normal is changing pretty much often. We have a plan. We know what we want. We have something implemented, or we have no clue. So you have 10, 15 seconds to answer this question. So we'll see the result. We have something implemented. So I'm curious about this something. what is this something? It's already Teams with Viva, maybe. Okay, so it sounds all good. Thank you for that. We want to go there. But in that, the life is a matter of balance, okay? So there is always pros and cons. And who can jump in that? Maybe Jan, on the innovation perspective, the balance we were talking about concern of data and security, cyber security, transparency. Natalia was mentioning the aggregation to be able to understand the productivity of the team. So all that is balancing and the pros and cons about going to implement a DWP.
Yeah, I mean, I could and I will now count some certain cons. Some certain pros. I don't really think that we have cons with digital workplace. We maybe have some things to think about and take a little bit more into the focus to get the things right. But let's have a look to the pros, right? And I said before in my intro that you're no longer able to do your work the way you did it before with the changed situation. So with using digital workplace tools like Teams and Viva and the breaking down possibility to integrate everything in one place, you have an increased engagement, an increased employer engagement, right? The employer is not losing time in searching for answers, but he is like Amazon did before, the one-click buy mechanism. You have one click, you have it on your fingertip, and you have a better engagement. You have an improved communication, whether like we do now with video or speech, or whether it is instant messaging with texting. You just can better communicate. You can attract and retain talents with this, right? So if you're not ready for this new way of working, most likely your employers will leave you because they don't see a possibility of providing efficient work. You also will have an increased revenue because you have a quicker time to market. You are more and better able to communicate and integrate your customer into the full progress that we have seen from Olaf before, right? The customer is not only involved in the beginning when he's doing the order and in the end when he's getting the deliverable, but he actually has a possibility to jump into each unique phase and whether contribute if it is needed or receive information that he might use for further adoption of the outcomes. If I'm not mistaken, Olaf's mentioned before, it is an interdisciplinary approach that we are following here with digital workplace. Natalie mentioned before, it gives more flexibility to us, whether working from everywhere, whether working with every device, whether working with all the different people all over the world. And last but not least, and I personally do feel it, as I mentioned in the very beginning with my personal story, I have a better work-life balance, right? I'm seeing my kids now growing up the last 2 years and are not stuck just 8 hours or 9 hours or 10 hours, even sometimes 12 hours at the office. Yeah, there's written cons, right? I said before, I don't really see constraints or problems. There are more these things that we need to take into account, and I'm very grateful, Natalia, that Microsoft put a focus on security and privacy, right? And you're losing reputation when you get hacked, when you're not using the right certified softwares, right? Not only you're losing reputation, you might lose very important knowledge that your competition should not have to keep the advantage. we need to look into, and this is where innovation, of course, comes in, but not only innovation, but more these EQ, not IQ, but the EQ. We have a certain loss of interpersonal communication skill, that's sure. But with the help of tools like Viva and Teams, we can actually put an answer to this of these loos. And as I mentioned, yes, thanks, Olive. Right, closing the gaps, and closing the gaps starts actually with the employer resistance. Right, we know this. Innovation is actually not a product. It's not money. Innovation in the end is change, being ready to change, whether on the company level or on the employer level. So we need to do something about overcoming this resistance. That's why I said it's not a con, it's just something to take into account. Yeah, and the security privacy aspect, I was already touching the security. The privacy is also clear. I mean, we have seen the first years of the internet, how partly, I mentioned before, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, how the users became the product because the data, the private data was used for whatever concerns. With Microsoft and with Teams, we don't have this. Yes, the DM, the delivery manager or the team manager or the employer itself has certain views on its productivity in the regard of transparency, but it does not mean that my boss can look into exactly whether I was working at 8 a.m. or whether I was working at 8 p.m. But they can see, is the trend going up or is a trend going down? And this is a very important instrument to actually steer the team, to steer the results, and also then provide the results towards our customers.
So it enhances, in fact, the relationship between each other, knowing better each other, being more focused on the relationship. That's what the tool is bringing, right? Good. So pretty much the opposite what we could think at the beginning. Maybe some question from the audience, from the Q&A time. Oh, that's a very interesting one. What is the possible procedure for implementing this digital workplace in the business? We start by what? Don't answer me by your laptop, but a little bit more than that.
No, how you can achieve all this stuff is it's a tricky thing. We usually using 6 steps to plan this approach with the customer. We create a plan to empower people, and we help our customers to invest in not only in space but also in technology to bridge physical and digital worlds when it comes to a digital workplace, and combat digital exhaustion from the top is a big point for that. And the next step is prioritizing the rebuilding of the social capital I have in my company, because when I know productive teams and all this stuff, I'm able to prioritize this, and the rethink of the employee experience, as Jan mentioned before, it's the most interesting part to really empower my employees and to find the best and the most diverse talent in this area, and then or in this teams, and usually the organization or the business will start in a successful approach by doing an agile approach to really do this agile, not in a waterfall method or other stuff, because with small steps you can achieve, and you have to address the employees, because digital transformation, it's not an exchange of tools, it's a paradigm shift in our minds, and it's not only in our management minds, it's also in our employees' minds.
We have no choice. The world is pushing us to transform, because we can't stay on the same place. Correct. You were mentioning that, Jan, at the beginning, that we can't go again with the same old tool when the world is just another landscape year after year.
But honestly, I would like to stress this once more. I mean, Olive already started, right? So there is a certain process that Infopulse is suggesting, and it first of all starts with the business analysis of the situation, right? Before you heard about it's an holistic approach, taking into account people first of all, the processes, the tools, and I mean, dependent on the enterprise, dependent on the company, the outcome might be different. No matter that you're using the same Teams, the same Viva, different parts of integration. If in the beginning, the business analysis of what is going on in your company in the old way, the old processes, if this is not done well, you know, I mean, sorry for my French, Emmanuel, shit in, shit out, right? So if you don't have a good person on your side, which is taking care about the business analysis, bringing out the current state, mapping where the customer wants to go to. Of course, most likely some of the customers don't know. So here we step in, we have knowledge with our thousands of customers that real how you call it, industry related knowledge, not only the technology.
Because we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you get into the architectural part, of course. So first you analyze, then you get into the architectural part, which draws the road of where we are going. And then, like Olaf said, it's no longer the waterfall principle, because most likely you won't get it right the first time. So you need to iterate. And the better you have this circle of planning, acting, monitoring, checking, and then adopting, the better.
That's named flexibility. Natalia, maybe you want to add something, maybe something we didn't talk, or just to summarize what Microsoft can offer. I mean, we have quite a pretty clear understanding now, but if you want to add something, feel free.
From my end, this last couple of minutes of conversation were very, very useful, and the fact that more and more our partners are talking about the adoption and business-oriented buildup of technology is extremely important, because no technology and no tool exists by itself. It's there to be put and mapped completely with the business process that it needs to suit. Otherwise, it's just not going to exist. It's like an empty car that nobody's driving because it's right there. It doesn't have anyone at the steering wheel. So it's exactly like that. And from Microsoft perspective, this is something that we have embraced on our end, the adoption and change management methodology in how, let's say, we're trying to help our customers use our tools more efficiently and productively, because they not necessarily for everyone seem simple. For some people who are less technically savvy, they seem complex, and that's normal. Everyone's different, and through this actual mapping of what your business process looks on paper and how it can be changed and improved with a digital tool. That's exactly the vision that we're also sharing very passionately lately with our customers. So yeah, just I'm glad that we're on the same page here with this concept.
Thank you very much for all this great sharing and insight from you guys. Thank you for the attendees. We will send you the presentation. Don't worry about that if you didn't have time to write or to get all the information from our slide. It will be sent to you. So thank you for having answered the polls also. That brings some insight from our side also to comprehend what you need, how you take this this topic. Just little mention, Infopulse is a Ukrainian-based company, so just to have a big thought about the people there, and wishing more than the best to end this war. But we are here in Infopulse. We are serving our clients. We onboard new clients since the beginning of the war. The war started 8 years ago, but since the most ugly part started end of February, we are onboarding new clients. So no problem. We are here. We do our job even on a tough time. That's a proof that we are flexible and able to advise you on the most tough moment in even your companies. We are here. We know what we are talking about, and we do the job. So thank you, everyone. We continue our webinar series, so I don't know which one will be the next. Certainly we will change some of the faces, but we are doing regularly that, so keep in touch, follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere. You will be updated about what's going on with Infopulse and our sharing. Thank you very much. Wherever you are, have a good time, and see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Slava Ukraini.